Eagle Eye Podcast. The number one show to bring you all things Club América in English. From tactical analysis
Pelota para la banda izquierda.
To player updates. We've got you covered on all the latest news on Las Águilas. Now, let's start the show. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down Club América's stumble away in Aguascalientes as they drop 2 points on the road. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about this transfer saga that continues to happen with Las Águilas del América. Is Bouanga coming? Is Bouanga even a thing on the table for Las Águilas del América? We'll break that down in just a moment. And then, of course, to round it all off, we're going to be talking with some RSL folks and talking Club América versus Real Salt Lake in the Leagues Cup. So, you don't want to miss a second of today's episode. We have a lot to cover, and I am your host, Ivan Pineda, the only one that's going to be here for the moment until we get our guest on. And I'm going to be giving you guys my little breakdown, what I thought about the Necaxa game, the transfer news, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's jump into the Necaxa game. So we were all expecting this matchup to go a certain way, and what would you guys say? For a little bit, for just a moment, it seemed like all was going well for Las Águilas del América. And before I go even further, let's maybe take 2 steps back and let's talk about this game prior to even the ball getting kicked, right? We talked about this game last week. Me and Dylan spoke about how this was a must-win game. This is a matchup in where Las Águilas del América needed to come out full force, gain momentum, build some confidence, get those 3 points because we need to, get as much points to kind of stat pad in a sense with this whole League Cup break. We wanted to end the league off on the right foot. That way, when Leagues Cup ends, we jump back into the game against Querétaro with a much better traction. Unfortunately, we know what the end result was, and that's not going to be the case. We'll digress into that a little bit later on once we finish Leagues Cup and we kind of shift our focus back into the league. But this wasn't an ideal performance as far as a full 90 minutes goes for Las Águilas del América. I mean, we all talked about what the expectations were for this matchup, and we all talked about the expectations coming into the league, coming into Leagues Cup, Campeones Campeones, all these competitions that América was going to be playing. And we thought that the one that held the most hierarchy was Campeones Campeones. That one didn't obviously go in our direction. So now it's obvious that André Jardine wants Leagues Cup more than anything right now to kind of offset some of the criticism, and rightfully so, right? I mean, Chris mentioned it and put in a very good kind of argument as to why América needs to win Leagues Cup. Not to say that this tournament should be forgotten or not even focused on. I mean, I'm one of the pioneers in the sense that say, hey, Leagues Cup is a great tournament. This is a tournament that's going to go down in history and it's going to have longevity if things go well and things are done right. And so you need to win this game. All of that just to say, América is definitely focusing on Leagues Cup this season, this year, more so than before, and you can just tell by the lineup that André Jardine gave against Necaxa. I think we were all baffled a little bit when we saw the starting 11. I surely was, especially when I was creating the starting 11 graphic for the podcast. I thought maybe there was a mistake here or an error here. It felt very much reserves got the nod against Necaxa, and the bench was basically just resting our starting 11 because we had a midweek matchup against Real Salt Lake for the Leagues Cup. So that off the bat just gives you an idea of what this game was going to be a little bit for América, right? Not to say that we have terrible players, but we do have some players on the bench at times that are very questionable, right? And this was an opportunity, I guess, in a sense, for them to kind of, hey, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to try to showcase that I'm more than just a bench player. I'm capable of taking that next step forward, and I am willing and justified to be not just at the club, but deserve a starting 11 spot. And I think the only person that really came out and showcased that, he wants to potentially start for Las Águilas del América is none other than Alexis Gutierrez. And that's someone who we criticized very much whenever the signing was announced. But he looked to be by far one of the most creative players, the most offensive players, and he looked, compared to the match, better than the rest of his teammates, and I guess that has to say something. But look, this matchup was going, I guess, in the fairy tale land of things. America started off very well. Zúñiga's goal actually comes off that hustle from Alexis Gutierrez to make sure that ball doesn't go out of the pitch, puts it back into the box, and, Zúñiga's in the right spot at the right time. Just, a natural goal scorer would be. Taps it in, first goal for Las Águilas and América is 1-0 up. And you just think to yourself, okay, good, you have the lead. Build on that, right? This is not your typical starting 11. This is definitely not all your starters, but this is something to build upon. This is something to go on. Use it, build momentum, go for it. And it just felt like América had no answer for them having the lead, which is odd to say that out loud. And then maybe it sounded a little bit better in my head, but now that I say it out loud, it's just it sounds just as ludicrous as as you can think about. Unfortunately, that was the case. América looked two-dimensional afterwards. They didn't seem very threatening. They got very comfortable with that lead. And shortly afterwards, Necaxa levels it up after, again, another set piece, another corner. Again, this Achilles heel that América continues to have with set pieces, right? And it goes back to the same argument, to the same discussion of how are we not figuring answers to these solutions? How are we not, working on this midweek throughout the training sessions to make sure that we have an answer for these things? And I'll tell you one thing. America's not good at corners offensively and defensively. The amount of times that we take short corners is ridiculous. Like, just put it in the box. And whenever we do try to put it in the box, it either never gets past the first man or it just absolutely gets terribly attacked. So, I guess there's a reason why we're not defending corners well in practice, is because we're probably not even doing good corners in training for our defenders to properly defend. We talked so much about, the absence of Igor Lichnowsky was very much, you could point it out because of the fact that we were getting beat left, right, and center in the aerial duels. And this one time, Igor Lichnowsky out because of, that red card he got in the Campeones match meant that he was not going to be available for this game. Hence, Necaxa score off a corner. Again, a lot of questions need to be answered here. A lot of questions need to be asked, in regards to why are we not marking properly? Why are defenders being left with no mark? They're just kind of marking each other. You got Luis Malagon, who should be organizing his defense a little bit more properly. I feel like he needs to be a little bit more vocal. I know a lot of people want to, crucify him for not coming out and this and that. And I'm not necessarily saying that this was a ball that he should have came and collected. I think it's a little bit too much bodies in the way that he wouldn't have gotten there in time. But he needs to organize his defense a little bit better in that sense. So that is something that I would pick upon. And then afterwards, when we concede this goal, América, again, is left with no answers going forward. It's as if just the creativity has just like that dwindled. Absolutely terrible. Before, in seasons past, when América did concede, you felt that there was a response. You felt like there was some eagerness, that there was a rush to go and get that lead back. And then this time around, América felt like they, again, hit a wall and felt like they had no way of answering that. They had no way of being like, okay, this is going to be my solution. I'm going to try X, Y, and Z. It felt more of like América's like, well, here we are in that same position yet again. And, while there was effort, while there was a push, you just felt that nothing was going to come of it, and that's the worst feeling to have, knowing that your team progressively is not getting to the point where you want them to be. And again, that is very unfortunate. That is very unsatisfying, especially off a fan base that saw a very attacking América side, a very creative América side, now just completely dismantled. And it's just, like I mentioned, just one-dimensional, two-dimensional in a sense where going forward, it means that they have no solution. And that's the frustrating thing about it, because as much as we talk about this being a collective unit, a collective game where it's more of about a team than an individual, sometimes you need that individual brilliance, and we haven't seen it across the pitch, right? Fidalgo felt very boxed in. He didn't really have that much of an impact the way he's had before. Brian Rodriguez, when he came onto the pitch, and Sendejas didn't really move the needle at all either. So it's these things, these little things that you're starting to pick up and notice that it's just frustrating all around. And we talked about the importance of getting this victory, and unfortunately, that's not the case. Now, not to say that the world is ending here for Las Águilas del América. We are still quote unquote unbeaten in the league, but 2 draws, 1 win in 3 matches. It doesn't give you that sense of like, doesn't really give you that much confidence in this team, especially with all the negativity going around. The press eating this team alive. A lot of questions being asked by the fans about this whole transfer market, about the lack of poor results, right? Everything that just continues to kind of stack up on this América side, again, makes it so that it's a little bit harder to believe that we're going to turn the page quickly and get back on track. And I guess really honestly, that's all I have to say about this Necaxa game. It was frustrating to watch. It was frustrating to live those 90 minutes and know that América was not going to have an answer. And whilst maybe we had an opportunity here and there, you just never felt confident that ball was going to end in the back of the net. And, América made a lot of mistakes in the defensive side as well, which Necaxa didn't capitalize properly. But if not, if this was another team, this wouldn't have been a draw for América. This would have been a loss. And that's the things that you need to walk away from this game and think, okay, how can we better ourselves? How can we do things better? And it starts with, forgetting about everything that's been going on, focusing and getting a fresh new start with this Leagues Cup. And hopefully when we come back and we trigger the league, thankfully we have this matchup against Querétaro, which again, no discredit to Querétaro, but they're not going to be the most toughest opponent. But then afterwards, you're looking at the likes of Tigres and Atlas on the road. So again, think wisely, manage wisely. And I guess Andrés Jardine is going to have to figure this out, right? And again, it's very early on in the season, but it feels like the momentum hasn't shifted, and we're still carrying the negativity of the season past. And it's just weighing on, you can tell it's weighing on the players, weighing on the managers, weighing on the fans. Something has to happen. There's got to be a reset here. And hopefully it happens soon, because América can't afford walking into Leagues Cup with this kind of mentality. Something's got to change. Something's got to give. If América wants to go back on track the way that they've so-called said that they're going to get back to being better, it's got to start somewhere. And Leagues Cup is the perfect place to get momentum and build traction back to what we're all expecting. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. And hopefully, like we mentioned, fingers crossed, América is able to get themselves going. But yeah, América drops 2 points away at Aguascalientes. Again, another place where we always find a way to struggle, but this time around we weren't able to grind out a win. This time all we were able to do was hold off for a draw. But all right, let's talk transfer news quickly here. Honestly, the only thing we need to talk about is this Bouanga stuff, right? There hasn't really been any other name associated with América. There hasn't really been other rumors besides this whole Bouanga deal. Obviously, it all looked like it was going in the right direction, right? We were getting Julio Ibanez, who was saying, 70% almost done. Things were going right. And then slowly but surely, things died out a little bit. A lot of americanistas started getting their hopes up because, there was reports that Heung-min Son was going to come in from Tottenham to LAFC that would possibly open the doors for Bouanga to come to América. But then all of a sudden, while América's playing Necaxa, Ivan says that basically the negotiations have fallen down because Bouanga wants to be paid $7 million to have a $7 million contract salary wise. And obviously América just said no, flat out no. And if that is the case, then I'm happy, because there's no reason for us to be paying a salary that high for a player on the wrong side of 30. Again, look, there's no discredit to what the player is capable of. We know what he's capable of. He's very talented. But again, it's a player that's coming into the league from MLS, a league that isn't known for its defending. It's a player that doesn't even speak that good of English, right? Predominantly French. So how's that adaptation going to be in Mexico, right? I mean, we saw what happened with Jeremy Menez. That didn't look to be too good. And again, wrong side of 30. I don't know. And now, right, as we're recording the podcast, ESPN Mexico comes out and says, hey, the negotiations are still underway. There was nothing formal. There was never a bid. There was never talked about salary, but America's still trying to make a negotiation happen. Like, at the end of the day, look, this thing is either going to unfold the way we want it to, or it's just absolutely going to fall apart. And there's not going to be two ways about it. And this time, like I mentioned, and like I said, do not hold your breath for Bouanga. Do not hold your breath. And that's where we're at right now. So unfortunately, we don't have a clear answer. We don't really know exactly what's going to be happening with Bouanga. But regardless to say, we'll keep you guys updated. We'll keep you guys up to date. And make sure you guys follow us over on Twitter at Eagle Eye Podcast. And make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well at Eagle Eye Podcast. We'll keep you guys up to date with all things Club América. And that's all I have in regards to the transfer. It's very short, very quick. But that's just kind of the update I wanted to give you guys. But with that said, our next segment will be a Leagues Cup preview, talking to the folks from Real Salt Lake, and we'll be previewing the game América versus Real Salt Lake in the Leagues Cup. Americanistas, today's episode is brought to you by Tom's Watch Bar, the official home of Club América in the United States. Every game this season will be streamed at Tom's Watch Bar. That's right, all the games, all the time, meaning you'll always have a place to catch our Águilas in action. So make sure to head over to your local Tom's Watch Bar to experience an América game like never before. Visit tomswatchbar.com/events for more information. Thank you to Tom's for sponsoring today's episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to talk Leagues Cup. América is coming into this competition, obviously, with a chip on their shoulder after these last two seasons where it didn't end properly the way that they wanted to in some penalty shootouts. And now América starts their journey in search of the, I guess, so coveted Leagues Cup, the way that Chris mentioned it in our season preview. And they're going up against Real Salt Lake. So in order to do so, I brought in a couple of experts. So please welcome onto the podcast, Tyler, Brennan, Gobble, from the RSL Random the RSL Random Fan Podcast. Did I get that right, gentlemen? I probably butchered it. I'm sorry.
That's it. No.
It's Ivan. So close.
Almost.
Is it
There we
Pineda?
go.
Is it Ivan Pineda?
I've been hearing that my whole life, so at this point it might be.
Well, yeah, we've been hearing gobble instead of gobble our whole time.
Yeah, no, well, hey, gentlemen, honestly, so soaked and so glad that you guys took out the time to talk a Leagues Cup with me. How are you guys feeling, though, on your side of things? RSL, you guys are, I believe, 8th in the league right now, so the league stops for you guys as well. You're coming into Leagues Cup. How are you guys feeling about it?
So, honestly, these last 4 games, we've changed how we've been playing on the field, formation-wise, and also how we attack. We are becoming a lot more dynamic, moving the ball up the field, which is really nice to see. And then hopefully we can get our new signings going by then. Probably not. No. Yeah, that's right. We have to wait till the end. But overall, I mean, with Luna's ability to be over the ball, he's going to start connecting really well. Our back line is kind of all together. We're kind of almost, I think we're probably in the best possible place we could be for this style of soccer coming up. You agree?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think RSL struggled all the way through May, and then they had the international break, and I don't know if they had like a come to Jesus meeting, and they have kind of put things together through June and July, and I think they picked up 16 out of 21 possible points through June and July, and have kind of maybe turned a corner. I think we're going to find out when the competition kind of steps up for the Leagues Cup. They could be surprising both ways. RSL, maybe we'll find out if they have turned a corner or if they still have work to do playing one of the Mexico's best teams in the.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that happened. We kind of went young in our search for form, and we got it with Gozo and Luna, and those guys brought a youthful exuberance to our attack that we hadn't seen in a bit. And it was starting to get a little stagnant, but we kind of have a little bit of a Latino flair. We're not quite the Mexican where everybody can shoot the ball from anywhere on the field. We're not there yet. Playing a club like Club América at home is kind of one of those huge tests for us. You know what I mean? Going up against a team that can just pull international caliber players off the bench and plug them in and have them come at us. Like, that's going to be a real challenge for Real Salt Lake.
Okay, interesting. I like hearing that, we're going up against a good side. And look, America's always had this, difficulty against MLS sides here and there. Many of our listeners will remember the previous iterations of Leagues Cup and how that ended for America in those penalty draws, obviously, in CONCACAF Champions. league or cup, whatever it was at the time, there's been a couple of exits against MLS sides. So it's this type of tournament, I guess, is interesting and it's exciting for a lot of us americanistas because it shows and it gives us an opportunity for our team to kind of vindicate themselves and say, hey, we're still the giant that we claim to be, and in order to do so, then you have to beat anyone within the region. And so this is going to be a really good test, and I like to hear that RSL has picked it up and it's going to give us a good challenge because at the moment we are not coming in as heavy favorites or in that good of a form. We drew our most recent matchup against Necaxa, a game in where we did fill the starting 11 with more of our reserves than our starting 11. I think that just goes to showcase how much of an importance this League's Cup is going to be for us, that we're coming in with a much more rested squad than we typically would be. And, it's going to be important for América to kind of turn the page in these past recent games and where things haven't really panned out, lost the Campeón de Campeones to Toluca, lost the FIFA Club World Cup playing to LAFC, lost the final against Toluca as well. So there's a lot of vindication that needs to happen. And I guess, RSL's, hopefully going to be our first victim. But we'll see. Maybe you will be your guys' victim in that sense. I want to ask you guys specifically, how do you guys feel about the League's Cup? There's a lot of I feel like whenever I ask this question, it's either 50-50. Either you either love it or you hate it. Where do you guys fall on that?
I'll start off this time. I hate it and I love it. It's both because
okay, perfect. I've never had that before.
I hate it because a whole bunch of fans come to my stadium and cheer for the other team. You know what I mean? But I love it because it's spreading the game in the state, and it's the game that I love, not just Real Salt Lake. I do love Real Salt Lake, but I love the game more, right? So it's like it's serving a higher purpose, even though I don't love that everybody, half the stadium ends up cheering for the other team. So that's where I kind of struggle with it. But
you're not going to be so happy on Wednesday when it's majority yellow, but we'll see what happens. Brandon Garbo, how you guys feeling?
Right?
I enjoy it because I love the play of the Mexican style. I feel like they're far more tactical than the MLS, and I like to see how they move the ball more fluid, and they create angles that you don't necessarily see in MLS. It seems like MLS, when they start attacking, it's kind of cookie cutter-ish. They kind of have their one or two ways to get forward, and that's the only way they do it. Whereas when you look at Cruz Azul, América, Santos, I love Santos, but those players and those teams, they have a bit better flair. They can be as a team, but then they can also be isolated, and they can really shine. So I just love watching that kind of MLS versus Mexico.
I love the idea. I think if they figure out the execution, I don't think people liked giving up a month of the league last season, but where it's only a couple of weeks and then they're going to, intersperse the games through the rest of the season. If they can find that balance, then I don't have anything against it. I think, like Brandon and Tyler said, there are great things about the tournament, and I think it only helps grow the game across the two countries, and hopefully it will just blossom and be something that people look forward to, kind of like not necessarily the FA Cup or the US Open Cup. There's a space there for a tournament like this if they can do it right.
Absolutely. I agree in that sense as well, and I think that's something that I've been kind of, I've been on my hill about and saying, hey, this is obviously both leagues are very adamant about keeping this tournament alive. They've invested so much money, so much time, so much effort that hopefully this new format will showcase that, hey, this is exactly what you guys portrayed this league to be this competition to be as, league versus league type of stuff. And I think that's what the fans want to see, right? Because, I think a lot of criticism was falling on the League's Cup whenever you had like two lower league teams from like MLS or Liga MX and they were playing against each other, when it was like, we get this already during the league. Like, why do we have to rewatch this again, twice? So it's interesting now the way that they're formatting, right? League versus league, at least for the first 4 matchups, you can say. And then I guess we'll go on to see how that all unfolds. But okay, nice to hear where you guys stand in regards to League's Cup. And now that we've kind of talked about that, what is your guys' expectations for your team in the League's Cup? Predominantly for RSL, has the club come out and said anything specifically about what they want to achieve in this League's Cup? Or is there something that you guys know as a general fan base that you guys are kind of holding a standard for your team to achieve it in this League's Cup?
I'll start. I think they will say what you expect them to say, right? They're going to take it seriously. They want to advance. They want to win this. The top three, the first and second place, plus the third place winner gets that coveted champions, CONCACAF Champions Cup entry. So there is that incentive. But I wonder if it will play for RSL. It might all hinge on this first game, right? If they come out and play well and get a result against America, I think then maybe that might be the deciding factor of how serious they take it, considering where we are on the roster, how we've struggled this year, and how hard it will be for them to continue on until we get these new strikers or the rumored players that come in. So it'll be curious to see. That's kind of where I'm sitting.
Yeah, I mean, it always seems like we play it by ear. Like after the first couple of games, if we're not feeling it or we're not seeing the team drive, we kind of lower our expectations and we kind of start playing from the bench. But I think this year we kind of need a trophy. We need something. And MLS is going to be a long haul, but if we can nab one of this Leagues Cup trophy, I think that will be a huge boost to our organization as a whole. So I'm hoping they just go 100% all in.
Yeah, I kind of think like a club like America, there's probably 2 or 3 players on Club America that are just head taller, better than most of Real Salt Lake. But if they can kind of neutralize that throughout and keep it close, they have a chance to win. I think Brandt and Brennan are totally correct on that. If they don't see the first team come out and compete very well against Club America, if they come out and dominate us and put 4 on us and we can't get a hint at goal, then we're just going to pack it in for the rest of the tournament. We'll bring up some guys and play we'll give some guys a chance to play that don't get a lot of playing time. And we'll say, yeah, we're just trying to get some experience for later. The narrative will change dramatically.
It's interesting. I mean, obviously Club America is always, I guess the fan base will always put the standard to be that they have to win everything, right? And that's the narrative that always follows America in whatever competition, whether it be Leagues Cup, or whatever made of competition that they may be put into. Expectation is always win, 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 win. And I don't know, it feels like this team needs a trophy. And, it might sound ludicrous, obviously, after winning so many trophies within the past 2 years, that you would think, really, do you really need another one? But I think with the fact that you've let go so much within the past, I want to say 3-4 months, that the fan base is slowly kind of getting a little bit irritated. And if the club wants to save face, in a sense, they have to do it by winning, and it has to start against RSL as well. It's going to be interesting to see how both teams kind of play off against each other. I'm curious to hear you guys' tactics and what you guys think your manager is going to come out with as far as expectations go for America. Again, it's the third iteration that America gets to play in Leagues Cup, and it's always been the same. It's win, win, win. And this time, the past 2 years, America came into the first Leagues Cup with quote unquote the most expensive roster, right? So that gave it a little bit more of America needs to win. They're the most expensive team. They have the showcase for it. The second time around, they came as back-to-back champions. So the narrative was there, right? The Liga MX champions. They need to win it. So this time around, there's not really much of a narrative more than America needs this in order to save themselves. And so we'll see what happens. But yeah, progressing and moving forward, this matchup is going to be on Wednesday at, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but I believe the game is at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
7:30.
6:30 my time, so 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
7:30.
7:30 your guys' time. So yeah, this is going to be on Apple TV, or for those of you who are wondering if Tulene is going to have this game as well, yes, don't worry guys, you guys can also catch this on Tulene. But I would highly suggest you guys go watch it on Apple TV if you guys want to just see a much more better picture. Because gosh, when is Tulene going to upgrade from 1080p to 1080? I have no idea. But if you want the better image, if you want the better kind of nice looking broadcast, head over to Apple TV. And for those of you who have T-Mobile and just don't want to spend on Apple TV, T-Mobile's giving it away for you guys right now. So if you guys have T-Mobile, head over to your T-Mobile rewards app, and it'll show you how to redeem all of that, so you guys can get MLS season pass for Leagues Cup ready for that. All right, gentlemen, talk to me more about your team. How impactful is Diego Luna going to be in this matchup? And I don't know, what tricks do you guys have up your sleeves in order to walk away with a victory here?
Gonna go.
Well, so if we're taking over the last 2 games, we're talking about Diego Luna. You see a guy who's gotten a lot of ego and praise recently, and you're seeing him stay on the ball a little too long. He's starting to lose that teammate mentality where he's making the right pass to get going forward. He kind of holds on to it a little bit too long. But I think the real player we need to pay attention to is going to be Diogo Gonçalves. That guy, I think his flair is going to shine against your team. He kind of has that vibe where he's like, these guys can play. Let me show them what I can do. And he is very crafty with his passes. So when he gets in the upper third and Luna's right behind him, or we got Gozo running down the side, I think we're going to be able to really test your back line. Honestly, open up a lot of opportunities as long as we stay aggressive overall.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with Brennan a little bit. Since he's come back from the U.S. men's national team, Diego has kind of been in that in-between. Am I the scorer? Am I the creator, it looks like? And when you don't have anybody up top playing the 9 for your club that has scored more than 2 goals this season, it's hard to trust those guys. So it goes both ways. Yes, the team is waiting for someone to pick up that mantle and start scoring some goals, but at the same time, they aren't doing it. So how do you trust them? How do you make that pass? So it's really a struggle. We've got a young guy in Piol up top, and then we picked up William Agata from Kansas City, and neither one of them have been the answer. And RSL has just struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, it's going to fall on the midfield and players like Xavier Gozo, Diego Luna, Diogo Gonçalves, and even some of the outside backs to maybe be those creators and to get those goals, which they're going to need to beat Club America.
Yeah, Ivan, for me, it's as we get into our attack, I think that like Luna is who gets all the headlines. He's our leading scorer. Our second leading scorer is own goal. So.
Oh, and he's been great this year.
He's been great this year. He got 3. He's got 3, so he's the second leading scorer. You know what I'm saying? So it's Diego Luna and whatever else anybody else can do. But to me, the game is going to be handled in our center defensive mid. If we can keep Ojeda and Nelly on the ball, then that's going to take the ball away from Club America. They're not going to be able to come at us as fiercely if those two can pivot and play the ball a lot. And I think that is going to be what decides this game more than anything.
What formation do you guys use?
So we typically play 4 in the back with a high left winger, and then 2 pivots in the defensive midfield. And then we play kind of 3 across the midfield and 1 up top. So 1 from the top, 1, 3, 2, 4, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1.
Wow,
there's like
to the audience.
Forward.
Whoever has a whiteboard at home that's following along, just please send in a picture.
Normally a 4-2-3-1, slightly modified because we have essentially 2 10s and we play heavy on the left side. But we've kind of switched to, at the beginning of the game, to a 4-2-2-2. And then we have true fullbacks that come up and then pivots, all that. But on paper, we're usually a 4-2-2-2. And then we just have our 9 play higher and kind of, we're unique.
Well, that's going to be interesting. Jardine has toyed around with a back 5. He's played with a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. It's going to be interesting to see how he kind of combats what you guys are, already used to playing. I'm sure that they've studied and reviewed film, and, if it's like you guys say, and you guys play so heavily on the left-hand side, it's going to be interesting to see how he combats that. I agree with you, Tyler. I think the midfield battle is going to be key for both sides, which is interesting to see how America is going to play. Are we going to play with a Jonathan Dos Santos, who's going to be more of a, holding the ball, can play passes in between, in between players, in between the lines, give a little bit more of a creative freedom to Alvaro Fidalgo to kind of explore and be that difference maker going forward? Or are we going to play with Alan Cervantes and have him kind of be more of the disruptor, the guy who goes in, makes tackles, wins the ball back, and then, because he's not so great on the ball, Fidalgo maybe drops a little bit more and has to be that creative player, but with a much more deeper role. So it's going to be interesting. One thing's for sure, America is a very, very possessive team, right? We like to hold the ball. We like to be the ones to dictate play. And it's always fun and interesting to play against another team that wants to kind of go toe-to-toe in that sense as well, right? Because the midfield battle is so key, which again sometimes can be a little bit of a boring game at home because both teams don't really want to risk too much. But I think with everything going on, with all the turmoil right now that America is facing, they're going to have to kind of right away from the get-go go and put some pressure on you guys, try to get the ball, try to get going, something going early on. Brian Rodriguez and Alejandro Sendejas are going to be the two players that are going to be creating everything for America going forward. Sendejas is going to tuck in a little bit more. He will probably play as the right winger, but he'll be more of a number 10. He'll have more of a free roam role, and Brian Rodriguez will be stuck on that left-hand side, trying to make everything happen for America on that left-hand side. And it'll be interesting to see who we start up top. Is it going to be our captain, Henry Martin, who looks like he's back from injury, got some minutes against Necaxa, or is it going to be, the new signing that we just had, La Pantera Zúñiga, who just scored his first goal against Necaxa as well? So a lot of questions as to who's going to play the number 9 role, but in that defensive creativity is going to be important, and that midfield battle as well. Can America win it? Can America hold possession? And most importantly, what can America do with the ball? And how well are they going to be in the transition? Because it sounds like you guys have creativity and pace on that left-hand side, which means America's going to have to be really careful on what fullback we pick to play on that right-hand side. Most likely going to be Israel Reyes, who's a little bit more conservative and a little bit more better defensively rather than going forward, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in that sense. So yeah, well, we talked about that. We talked about tactics. We talked about a couple of players already that you guys mentioned. If someone was going to be a difference maker, Tyler, who would you say it's going to be for Real Salt Lake?
So it's got to be Bodie Hidalgo. He's going to come off the bench late. He's going to whip balls into the box. He's going to be a big defender. Nobody believes me that he's going to be the difference maker because he's just a kid from Utah. He's got like reddish hair, and he's just kind of a big white guy. But the guy can whip a ball into the box, and he can defend like a man. So I'm going to go with Bodie Hidalgo.
If he sees the game, it is over. And we are done. We are so toast if Bodie Hidalgo sees the field. But go ahead, Brandon.
Dude. That's fantastic. I was going to say there's probably 2 players that I would highlight that could really change the game for us. I think it would be Catranes. If he starts, that guy is really great at serving the ball into the box. He's also pretty diabolical defensively, and he gets in your striker's face quite a bit. So he'll get him angry, probably force a mistake. But then the biggest one is going to be Emeka Nelly. You've seen him change his whole way of playing. Right now, when he possesses the ball in the center, he likes to turn around and go instead of trying to go out the sides like he's done in the past. And it's turning our whole team into a big threat early on. So once he gets the ball through the center, and if he can turn and look and go, it's going to be a lot of problems for your back line.
And I say I'll follow along with those, not the Bodie Hidalgo part, but I think it's going to be interesting. Is it going to be Catranes or is it going to be Junca? They're both left backs. They have different skill sets. Junca's a little bit better defensively. He can still go forward. And I'm curious to see who starts this game. How is Pablo going to set up a little more defensive, or is he going to just go for it and be offensive and have Catranes start? And then I'm really curious to see who or how America goes after our right back in Noel Caliscan, who is a young kid who's taken that position. Right back has just been a struggle all year, but the last 8-10 games, he kind of nailed that position down. And I'd be curious to see if they try and take advantage of the RSL right side there.
Well, that's a good point because America, they are so good coming off the wings. Like, you guys have some talented forwards. Caliscan reads the ball really well and watches the feet really well. And he makes a lot of stops, but that's, a mid-average forward in the MLS. I mean, America's got some beautiful moves. I think that's probably going to be our weakest link, is going after Caliscan, because if he doesn't hold up, it's going to make our entire defensive line go in shambles, because you guys are so heavy up top.
Yeah, we haven't seen the quality that Club America is going to bring to us. We have not seen it at all this year.
Well, maybe we did well against Cincinnati, but San Diego kind of took it to us. So those are probably similar.
Yeah, a little bit. But it will be interesting. On that left-hand side will be Brian Rodriguez, like I mentioned. He has been by far one of our better players, so hopefully he can take advantage of that. And in that overlapping run, I think we'll see Cristian Borja with that left back position. So we'll see what happens. If I had to name an America player that I think will be that someone that I haven't named already that needs to be a difference maker, I think it's going to be Eric Chiquito Sanchez. He's going to be Fidalgo's partner in that midfield, kind of be that driving force to go forward. Chiquito finds himself in pockets of spaces sometimes where you typically would find a number 9 at. So he's going to be crucial in kind of being that decision maker and putting the ball in the back of the net. Am I going to pass it? But he's got to be a little bit quicker, a little bit sharper with the way that he's, making these decisions in the final third. And another one that I think will be very important will be Igor Lichnowsky. He's our center back, and he is the reason why America has looked so much better in defense sometimes when it comes to the aerial duel. Our Achilles heel for the past 3 years has been set pieces. So if you guys can capitalize on that, then, I'm sure you guys are already aware of that. Or at least your tactical manager will. Well, if you guys, that brings me a little bit of some comfort. But don't worry, all you got to do is just put a ball in.
No, set pieces, might as well, we should just start passing and move the ball on the ground because nobody's doing anything, man.
We have like 1 or 2 goals all season off set pieces.
And one of them wasn't even like a header. It was like a flipped ball and then Agata shot it through everybody. So it's like set pieces are going to just be flip of a coin, man. There's
not only scoring
not our strength,
but defending set pieces has been an Achilles heel this year.
Well, it looks like we're on the same boat there. Well, don't worry. I mean, don't think America's this great masterpiece at offensive set pieces. The amount of times that they take short corners is ridiculous. I want to rip my hair out every time. But it'll be interesting to see. I guess we'll see which team tries to find a way to take advantage of that, if they even can. But look, it paints to be a very interesting game after having this conversation with you guys. I'm more excited about the matchup. I think it's going to be a good test overall, both for you guys and both for us. And the great thing about this new format is you have 3 games. You need to finish in the top 4. You have to stop. You have to start off with a victory if you really want your chances to be very good at making it into the next round. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this is all going to end up. All right, gentlemen, to round off this segment, I want your guys' prediction for Wednesday's matchup against both of these teams. Tyler, I start off with you. What's your prediction for Wednesday's matchup?
Wow, really, I think it's going to be.
How many goals does Bodie's?
I think it's going to be 3-1. I think RSL holds on late in the game with a 1-1 score line, and then Club America makes some changes, and they get 2 goals after the 80th minute and win going away.
All right, interesting. What about you guys?
I think it's going to be 1-1. We're going to go to penalties, and we're going to kick your butt.
Not my favorite scenario going into penalties with the way Leagues Cup has gone for us, but okay.
I think the key is going to be 3. If Club America, like Tyler says, if Club America gets to 3 goals, I don't think any way RSL is scoring 3 goals. They've only done it a few times this season, so I think the first team to 3 goals is going to be the winner. I think we didn't talk about it enough, but I think the key player for Real Salt Lake that we need to watch is Rafa Cabral, new Brazilian keeper, 35-year-old keeper who has just been lights freaking out this season. He has been amazing, and if he stands on his head and keeps the game 1-1, 2-1, RSL might have a chance to get the victory. It'll all come down to that. But if America gets that 3rd goal, I can't see RSL getting 3 goals on these guys, can you?
Not unless it's early.
Yeah, so I'm not going to predict a winner. I think that whoever gets there first, I mean, obviously America's got to be heavily favored. And so I'll be curious to see how RSL responds. But the only way they are going to win is if they can keep America down to 1, maybe 2 goals max.
All right, well, there you guys have it. First to 3 wins. Be interesting. Which would be a boring 0-0 game. Yeah, last goal win might actually be the case.
Let's hear your prediction.
I think I'm going 2-1 for America, but I do think it's going to be 1-1 for a long time, and I think it's going to have to come off some sheer brilliance of somebody in late in the second half to kind of turn the page for America in this matchup. There's not a lot of confidence in this team right now, not only from the fans, but from the team itself. Whenever we do concede, heads go down, doubt starts to creep into the minds of some of these players, and it'll be interesting how they can respond to that, right? And obviously a clean sheet would be ideal just because I think the defense needs it. The goalkeeper, Malagon, who's been under a lot of scrutiny lately, needs it as well. So I do think that this is going to be an interesting game where hopefully America can finally give, the fans a solid 90 minutes rather than a solid 15, and then the rest is questions and doubts as to, some of these players, are they still capable of playing for this team? The manager, what kind of substitutions he's making, and some of the questions that surround him. So So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Should be a fun game though. Hopefully, for all the soccer nerds out there, pay attention to this game. I think it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a good one from a club perspective, fan perspective, from an analytical perspective. I think all around, it shows that this game is gonna be an interesting one. So we'll see what happens. But that is all I got for this. Anything else you guys want to add on?
I would say that for the game, altitude is a thing. I don't know what
we're used to it.
Of America.
If you give me 1 second, I will give you the altitude right now.
I'm pretty sure it's higher, right?
16,000 feet. If that's the problem, if that's where you play, then altitude won't be an issue.
We play at 7,349.
Yeah, you win. So RSL is going to be gassed by the end of the game, and Club America will win the altitude battle. So, but usually it's the other way around coming into Salt Lake. But yeah, you guys win.
Well, we'll see. But it gives me a lot of confidence there. But all right, cool. Altitude to play a factor. We'll see. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, gentlemen, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come out, talking all things Leagues Cup with me. It's always fun. It's always great to connect with other people doing this. That's take their time out to go and cover the team and do the amazing things that you guys do. So I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck for this matchup for the entirety and the rest of your season. And I just hope for a good game, and may the best team win.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for us here on the Eagle Eye Podcast. Make sure you guys follow us over at Twitter at Eagle Eye Podcast. And for all of you who are following RSL and want more, where can they find you guys?
Everywhere. Twitter. We are on YouTube, all of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Look for the RSL Random Fan Podcast.
That is great. All righty then, gentlemen. Thank you so much. To everyone listening, thank you as well. Have a wonderful time. We'll be back to cover a recap this game, talk Minnesota, talk Portland later on as well. But with that said, you have a wonderful night. Take care. And as always, arriba América. Good night.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.